Hey guys, it's Kelly Ann and welcome back to my channel and welcome back to my minimalism series. So today's topic is going to be about the KonMari method. Basically, why I chose to do it that way and what I think about it. So basically, back in May, no, before then, April, I went to my public library and I got a library card. And with my library card, I was able to sign up for this app called Overdrive. And at this point, you may be thinking, what the heck does the library have to do with decluttering your house? Well, hold please. In my first video, I talked about Laura from How to Get Your Shit Together and Rachel, the Messy Minimalist, on YouTube. And they both have been doing the KonMari method. Well, as I was getting into the audiobooks and the ebooks and stuff on the Overdrive app, both of the KonMari books were on there. And I had already been watching like Laura's videos where she broke down the entire method, and I had already signed up for her emails where you got, and I actually still have mine. I have all the pages but the first one. But she breaks down all the categories for you by category, and then she breaks it down even further. So the next one for like books, she does like nonfiction, fiction. And then if you have so many books, she breaks it down even more into like romance, thrillers, autobiographies, true crime. That's insane. She breaks down papers. And this is the one that's super helpful, is the kimono category. She broke it down into all the things that she could think of. And like I said, she's originally from Ireland, and so some stuff that are more typical to see like in the US weren't on there, but it gives you a really good idea and a good place to basically start. But I had already seen the process and kind of knew what it was about, knew the order, knew how to do it. And I was like thinking in my head, yeah, I could do this. I could so do this. And by the end of May, I had finished, was it the end of May? Maybe in the end of May, I started both of the books. I started with the second one, not knowing that it was the second one. I started with Spark Joy. And that one is, if you have the real book, has a lot more like pictures on like how she folds things and things like that. And it's more strictly about the method. So if you're wanting to choose one book over the other, they both have the same information in it, except the life-changing magic of tidying up, her first book, has more of the background of the method and why it works so well, and more kind of like, I don't want to say testimonials, but kind of a little bit. It talks about that one talks about her as a kid and like how she kind of started this whole journey herself into creating this method. And so I started kind of like backwards, but I still read the first book after I finished Spark Joy. But I had already started the process whenever I read the first book. But Spark Joy, the day that I finished that book, and it's only 5 hours on audiobook, guys, but it took me 2 days because I started it in the afternoon of one day, so I finished it the next morning. I went home that day and started the process. I went online, I printed out my guide from Laura, and I went home and I went to work. I did clothes one weekend, and I forget which flossy vlog that's in, but the flossy vlogs that contain KonMari have KonMari in the title, so those should be pretty easy to find for you. But I went home. I went home and I took out all the clothes in my entire house and chunked them on my bed. And I I was putting away items as I went through it because it was just too much on my bed to not do that. But I didn't pick back up like chunks of things. I literally touched every single item, and I went through about 4 or 5 keeps before walking back into the closet and putting it away or whatever. And I even like unfolded majority of my t-shirts. There were some that I knew exactly what they were without unfolding them. Um, and the t-shirts honestly were the hardest part for me, and that's because I am a jeans and t-shirts girl. But my friend happened to come over that night, like as I got to the t-shirts, and she didn't really do anything. She just like sat there and like let me say things out loud. And I think I got rid of more um, since she was there. And the thing is like some of those shirts I've been holding on to for years. I haven't worn them in years. I've just been holding on to them for years. And I don't even know, like, I mean, I know why, because it reminded me of this one time. It reminded me of whatever. It was a concert t-shirt. But the thing is, I never wore them, ever. They just took up space. And it was infuriating because, like, the shirts would get moved from my main drawer to the other drawers. And so sometimes these, like, shirts that I, like, never wore would somehow make it into my actual t-shirt drawer, the ones that I wear all the time. And it was just so frustrating. But I took about 4 drawers of t-shirts down to 1.5. No, I say 1.5 because the other half of that drawer is like holiday shirts. So they're t-shirts that are like only for Christmas, or like I have a couple that are like only for Halloween time, or only for like St. Patrick's Day, that kind of thing. So those are taking up half of a drawer. But I've decluttered that even more since then, and I have like actual like a chunk of blank space in my drawer. But I also don't fold my clothes the way KonMari says to. But getting off topic. I did though. I went home and I started this decluttering process. And I guess the real reason is why KonMari. So in my previous video, I've talked about, for the longest time, I've always had a declutter bag or a declutter box. I've always had something going in the corner of my front room to go to charity or some organization for donations. And you know, this has been the thing for a long time. And anytime I got like 2 or 3 bags, I would go and take it. And that's always been a process. But the thing is that the difference in the KonMari method compared to what I always did, because I was always going through, like if I was cleaning or whatever, and I found stuff that I'm just like, why do I still have this? And I would declutter it. The thing is that you never really understand the whole picture and the whole scope. And that's the whole point of the KonMari method. And I think that's why it's truly working for me this time. It is truly working for me. And let me just explain that. Traditionally, whenever I would declutter, I would be working on a specific room. And I used to have a massive shoe collection. I don't anymore. But majority of my shoes were in my closet, and half of them I didn't even remember that I had. And then I had some in a completely different room in that closet. And I would always look in there and I'd be like, oh man, I haven't touched these shoes in forever. I need to remember they're in here. And every once in a while, a pair would make it into my closet, and it would get lost with all the other shoes. And like I can tell you every pair that was in that closet, but I could never remember to go grab a pair to wear. And I can tell you which ones were in there, but I don't miss them. They've been donated for months, I don't miss them though because I wasn't using them anyways. They were just there. And the thing is though, is that I would declutter that room and I'd be like, oh, these shoes. But because they were kind of like their own mini collection and not with the rest of my shoes, I wasn't seeing it as, oh, I have like 8 pair of this style in my other closet. You see what I'm saying? Like these are just a different color, but I have like 6 other pair of this style. Which one should I keep? So I just ended up keeping all of them because I just saw that one miniature snapshot of the collection. And the other thing about decluttering by room is whenever you're going through a room and picking it up and making it tidy and decluttering it, if you find something that goes in a different room normally, instead of thinking before moving it, this has been in the wrong spot for how long? I have not needed it or missed it in how long? And instead of really deciding, do I want to keep this? We just go and put it back in the room that it goes in. So really traditional decluttering that we grew up with here in America, or many places, but I can only speak about myself. The way that I was always brought up to declutter was room by room. And the problem with that is it ends up just being a big shuffle game. Or from room to room, you don't see everything together, so you don't like remember what the other rooms also have, and you end up keeping duplicates of things. One of the examples that I've seen on YouTube, and I don't remember who it was from, it wasn't from Laura or Rachel, but they got to books and they were a huge book person. And they loved this one book so much, but couldn't always find it, that they had like 3 copies of it. 3. Because they were all in different rooms. So that's kind of the whole point of it, is like, if you have things spaced out in different rooms, you know what I'm saying? You look at your bookshelf and you notice that book, but you can't really remember if you saw it there yesterday or if you saw it in a different room on a different bookshelf yesterday. So the whole difference in the KonMari method is bringing everything of a category together in one place. And everybody always emphasizes that you have to chunk it on the floor. You don't have to chunk it on the floor. I used my bed, okay, for most of it. Some of it I did chunk it on the floor. Do what you want. But the whole point is you're bringing in all of the items from every closet, from every room. So whenever I did clothes, I also had to go to my front coat closet and grab all my jackets and sweaters. Like, not like sweaters, but like, cardigan types. Anyways, you see what I'm saying. But I brought them all in there so that way I could literally see this massive pile of fabric that half of it I don't even touch anymore. I don't. Whenever it came to shoes, I brought in every pair of shoes from both of my closets, and now I only have shoes in my closet. I also only have like maximum 3 pairs of shoes in each shoe cubby, because before I had like 6 or 7 in a cubby at a time, and I only ever wore the top 2 pairs in each cubby because those were the only 2 pairs that I could really truly see in there. I've come a long way, guys. But yeah, you have to bring everything together. You have to tangibly touch everything and find a home for it. And that's kind of how you decide, is it worth keeping this? And sometimes it's not, and that's okay. The whole thing is that people have a hard time getting rid of stuff because they spent good money on it. But the thing is that you've already bought it, the money is already lost, and you're either using it or you're not. So if you're not using it and it's literally just sitting in a drawer, it's still wasted money. So you might as well donate it to an organization that's going to give it to somebody, or somebody is going to be able to cheaply buy it and actually use it. That's kind of my whole thought process on that. The money's already gone. The other thing that the KonMari method, though, has done for me personally is I've been really picky about what comes into my house. I think since I started this method about 3 months ago, I've maybe brought in 10 or less items that I didn't own before. And I'm not talking about groceries or toilet paper or cat litter or things like that. I'm not talking about usables. I'm talking about, which all items are usable, but I'm not talking about things that you replenish all the time, that they like, the purpose in buying them is to like use them right then. Okay? I'm talking about items that aren't particularly necessary. One item that I did get that I love, and I'm going to make a video on, is this massive planner of mine. And I'll get into the nitty gritty of this planner in a different video. But this is one item that I spent a good chunk of money on. I spent about, I think with shipping and everything and tax, it was about $65, but it's 17 months in here, and there's extra pages and all kinds of stuff. And yeah, like I said, stay tuned for another video. I haven't been buying books. I've been using the Overdrive app like crazy. There's so many books on there that I've been wanting to read. So I've been utilizing that app on my phone like crazy. And I've also been trying to mix in books that I physically have at my house to clear those out. I'm not gonna lie, in the book category, I didn't get rid of much, because as of right now, I do still have the intentions of reading a lot of those books, and I want to cull them out naturally. I am really good about, once I finished a book, I do donate it or give it to a friend who I think will enjoy it. There are some books, though, that will never leave this house, like my Harry Potter collection, my illustrated Harry Potters, etc., etc. But there is a fair amount that I want to read it because I've always wanted to read it, and I own a copy, and I will then pass it on. But I haven't been buying anything new. This app gets a lot of the newest books pretty quickly, and I can always go check it out from the library, but I've really been enjoying the audiobooks because at work I have this massive project and I kind of have to tune people out. So while I'm sitting there coding and doing these required changes and creating pages for this training that I'm doing, I listen to audiobooks. So I have my headphones on so I can drown out like noise in the office and stuff. So I've been getting a lot of reading in, and if you've followed me in my other videos, I kind of forgot about some of the books that I've read lately. But in October, I'm going to pick back up on that and be a little bit more on track, I promise. But, and get back to doing book reviews for everyone. But, yeah, it's something that, that's a category that I had a hard time with. The other thing is the categories. So I'll just talk about them on here. And I'm going to do some videos where I talk about each category and how they were specifically for me, and the positives and the negatives of them, and we'll talk about that. But the 5 categories is clothing, books, paper, kimono, and sentimental. So clothing is anything that is considered clothing. So clothes, shoes, jewelry, purses, etc. Whatever etc. is for you. Um, and you start with this category because typically, for most people, clothing is the least attachment emotionally. And that's mainly because sizes are changing, styles are changing, like and I don't mean just like your personal style, but like styles in the world are changing because some people keep up with that. I don't. Jeans and t-shirts never go out of style. The next category is books, and this is one more level up to being difficult, and that's because a lot of people don't want to get rid of their books. Everyone wants to have a home library, but her point like hit home. Once you've read it, whatever knowledge you obtain from that book, that's the knowledge that you're going to obtain from that book. Unless it's something that you're constantly going back to, or like me, my Harry Potters, those really do like make me happy, and those aren't leaving my house. Or my To Kill a Mockingbird, my 50th anniversary edition, that will also never leave my house. I have read To Kill a Mockingbird 7 or 8 times. I don't know why, but it's basically my favorite book aside from Harry Potter. But those kinds of things, those books will never leave. I also have some antique books that won't leave as well. They're first editions. But all my other ones, once I read them, I have the information. Whatever my brain pulled out of it, it's pulled out of it. So that's that one. Papers can be a little bit harder because, especially here in America, we're told that we have to keep certain things for so many years. And so those items you should keep, but we really do. We hoard manuals, which manuals are all online now. But the other thing, one suggestion that Laura mentions is in manuals, if you're that keen on keeping manual information, only pull out the pages for your language. Why are you keeping the 80 other pages that aren't in English? So if you have to keep them, only keep what's relevant to you. I can't read the other 8 million languages in this world, so why keep those pages? Kimono is the longest category. Kimono is the longest category, and that's because this is basically everything besides sentimental items. So it's music, movies, linens, craft supplies, mailing and packaging things, stationery, electronics, digital, what else is on here? Toys, miscellaneous, like cleaning supplies, anything that you can think of, stuff for the garage, like break down your garage, tools, lawn equipment, whatever else you have in your garage. Holiday items. So like right now I'm decluttering my Halloween decorations as I'm putting them out. If I'm not willing to put it out, or I know that I haven't put it out in years, I'm getting rid of it. There's no reason to keep it. Why do I have it? I'm going to let somebody else take that burden. If you like it, take it. So you kind of make your own categories in Kimono. Kitchen items. This one changed my life. Going through and pulling out everything that I owned in my kitchen. Oh, it's done wonders. Not even kidding you. I have so much counter space. It takes less than 10 minutes to clean up my kitchen every day. And I actually really enjoy being in there now. I really do. Which I always did anyways because I love to cook, but I hated dealing with cleaning it. Really did. And then the last category is mementos, which is going to be like baby clothes, toys since you were a kid, photos, old gifts, souvenirs from trips, things like that. Things that we put a little bit higher of a value on, collectibles, those kinds of things. Home decor is also a kimono, by the way. Like if you're obsessed with pillows or flower arrangements, those kinds of things. So that's kind of the method. That's how it's different. That's kind of why I chose it. It wasn't too far off from what I've always done, decluttering my entire house. But it was more structured. It wasn't room by room where you're just basically playing musical chairs and reshuffling shit. You were literally seeing the giant pile of one category, taking that in of how much of one type of item we actually have in our lives and significantly cutting it. I think most, at least the clothing category, I went down by half in almost every aspect of clothing. But we'll get to that and we'll talk about that in a different video. But that's what I wanted to share with you, is kind of what KonMari is and how it's different from majority of us declutter our houses. It truly is exactly what the first book's title says. It is life-changing. It is a magic. And your house truly does stay consistently tidy. And even if it doesn't, everything has a designated home. And if somebody is coming over, it doesn't take as long to pick everything up and put things back. But honestly, once you get to that point, you kind of want to pick up as you go anyways, because it's just so nice having, like, you go to bed with everything tidy, you wake up with everything tidy. It just stays tidy. There's not this stress of, oh, I have to come home and clean. Oh, I have to come home and do XYZ. It just stays, and it's been such a great change, and it's helped dramatically in my personal life with the anxiety and some of the anxiety. So it's been like one less thing ticked off my list of reasons I might have a panic attack. So it's definitely a method to look into. You need to be committed. Now, I do it mostly on the weekends. Sometimes I will do it on a weeknight. But for the most part, I do it on free weekends, which is why I'm still not fully done with the process. But I'm almost fully done with the process. But you have to block out chunks of time. Also, you're supposed to do it in a quiet environment and without other people helping you, to block out other people's emotions and really focus on your emotions on that item. Now, like I said, in clothing, I feel like I got rid of more because my friend was there, but she literally didn't really say anything back at me. She just let me say things out loud, and I think I got rid of more because she was there. But I think it's also different if you've kind of been decluttering for years compared to if you've never tried to take on decluttering your house before, because some of it I have to do with like a movie in the background or background noise. I personally, my brain just functions a little bit better if there's background noise, but some of the stuff I've definitely done in silence, but a good chunk of it I've had a movie or an audiobook on in the background, and it hasn't distracted me or swayed my opinions by a whole lot, if any. And so that's kind of to me it's kind of like a personal thing. But definitely, if this is something that you've been wanting to do, I recommend reading both books. Um, like I said, you can read the second book, Spark Joy, and kind of skip out on the life changing magic of tidying up. You can. I do still recommend to read both, but that's my opinions on the KonMari method and kind of why I chose to go that route this time. And let me know in the comments down below if you've done the method, if you are interested in doing the method, if you would like any more tips or anything like that, I would recommend to keep watching this series. But if you want any tips before I release certain videos like that, then please leave a comment down below and I will get back to you with what I did, etc. So yeah, let me know how this worked for you, and or if you're interested in starting it soon, I would love to know. And I will see y'all next time. Bye, guys.